intact. We are back on Bella Weekend and we are still discussing the topic about our feet. And with me, I'm joined by our expert who flew in from Singapore. He's a very, very busy man, so I'm so honored that you are here with us. Dr. Mark Reyneker, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Chief Podiatrist and Managing Director for Family Podiatry Center. Good afternoon and thank you for joining us on the show.
Good afternoon, thank you for having me.
First and foremost, did you know that honestly a lot of people out there, including myself, think that when you have foot problems, you automatically go and see the orthopedic, but you go and see the podiatrist, right? Like yourself.
Right, the podiatrist is that member of the healthcare team who focuses specifically on your legs and your feet, with a lot of special attention paid to the function of the foot.
So what are some of the common problems that you've seen or you've gone through with women out there? What do they come in to see you about, the complaints?
Depending on the age group. So if we're looking at our children, and then later on if we're looking at our early adults and our after 40, 50, 60, each group or each decade presents with a different set of problems. Reason being that lifestyle is different, things they get involved in different. So your working person in their early to late 20s will be wearing different types of shoes compared to someone later on. So the problems we see are oftentimes very, very different.
Oh, okay. So it really, really depends, and different cases just really are very different in that sense. You're saying, right? Okay. We took a look at some of the comments on our Bella NTV7 fan page, and we asked our fans out there, wearing heels for a long period of time can cause all sorts of aches and pains. What are some uncommon pains that you face when wearing heels? And these are some of the comments. Stabbing my foot or legs with the bottom of my heel while dancing. Yeah, my ankle pain will pain. That means she's in pain because I'm wearing about 4 to 5 inches heel, but it does make me feel confident with my look. Another one says, I've got a lot of backaches, knee aches. I wonder how some ladies can wear those high heels for hours. Most of them actually have given their comments here saying that they feel a lot of pain on the soles and on the toe molds, as well as the weight is there followed by the ankle.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So, you know, as much as we love our stilettos, wearing it for a long duration of time is bad for our feet, right?
Well, if you just allow me to explain the basic physics of foot function, this being your shin bone, and this is a right foot, and then of course we've got the rest of the body attached to this. Okay. If you're standing and your weight travels down onto the foot, it's distributed in a ratio of about 2 to 1. Yeah. Right? So two parts of your body weight is carried in this thicker, stronger area, and you can see the bones in this part of the foot are very, very strong. They're robust. You've got the heel, the talus, all these bones are very solid. The other half in the front, the bones are sort of very slim, thin looking, if you compare the two. That's right. So it makes sense for most of the weight to be carried at the back. So the dynamics of your foot weight distribution changes dramatically once you start adding on heels. So what the research shows is that once you go up about that much, which is about an inch, inch and a half to 2 inches, the changes are not that dramatic. But once we go up any higher, and our foot starts to do that, right, and we're on the ball of our feet, so now our weight will be distributed unevenly. So instead of the ratio of 2 to 1, 2 in the area where the bones can handle it, it's all distributed to the front, where your metatarsal heads get that full load, and that's why the dynamics of your foot function changes completely. Okay, and that is the reason. Now that you actually show it and seeing the bone structure and stuff, now we understand the pain and how much stress we're putting onto the balls of our feet as opposed to putting it where it should be at. Right. So, but you're not completely saying that, you know, you shouldn't be wearing high heels at all. No, what are some of your tips on those ladies out there who love wearing stilettos, but You know, if we look at the history of footwear, why do we wear shoes? If you go back a couple of thousand years, what you'll find is that footwear on cavemen that were excavated was that it's all leather, it's wraps, it's things pushed in to protect the foot from the cold weather or from the harsh surrounding climate. It was all about protection. Yeah. And as time has passed, it's changed. As our technology and our society has changed, the surfaces we walk on has changed. Now, shoe wear plays a different role. It's no longer about protecting us from the environment. Now it's about looking good, feeling confident. As one of the Facebook comments said, it's all about that confidence. that it builds up in a woman and how it makes you look. And so when it comes to wearing it, we don't, it's not all doom and gloom. Hey, it's bad for you, stop wearing it. It's more about how do you use it.
Okay.
So there's a certain way to use it. So if you're going to a wedding, for example, and you'll be being dressed a certain way, you'll be there for a couple of hours. It's once in perhaps a blue moon.
Yeah.
And so you wear your heels, you'll be okay.
Yeah, it's not like end of the world automatically.
You'll survive. Right. So as long as you perhaps do a little bit of training in them beforehand, if you're going up into the 5 to 7 inch range and some of the shoes I've seen, then it's okay. But generally then for work, there are ways around it. Meetings, you can always slip into your very formal high heel shoe. For other types of activities around the office, you may take your high heel shoes off. When it's not necessary, behind your desk, for example. So you can use them in a smart way. Just remember that you shouldn't be spending a full day in those heels.
Now, just when you think that, you know, you should not be wearing your stilettos or your high heels all the way, you think that wearing the flat shoes would be a safer choice. It's not so, and he's going to be explaining that in just a bit. But in the meantime, before that, let's take a look at some of the Vox Spots, what the viewers out there have responded to. What are some of, how do they choose their shoe wear? Let's take a look.
Comfort, of course.
It's more to style.
I think it's according to style come first, and then second is comfort of the shoes.
Style.
Usually comfort first, but if it's ugly, I'm not going to wear it either, so yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's what some people were telling us on how they choose their shoe wear. Now, we've got a couple of shoes here in front of us. Earlier on, we said that, you know, wearing stilettos or wearing high heels for a long period of time can put a bit of stress into your feet. So occasionally you can. It's not as if it's a major no-no whatsoever. But yeah, you should change it with something that is, you know, maybe your flats and stuff. But I also read somewhere that wearing something completely flat is also just as bad, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
So it depends a lot on the structure of the shoe. So yeah, I have a shoe which is very, very common when you walk around outside. You'll see people wear this more than people wear high heels. Flats are very fashionable. You also get ballet flats, which are normally curved like that. But what these shoes, when you talk about completely flat, what we look at is we would look at the shoe from this angle and look at the foundation of the shoe.
Okay.
Right, so if you look at the foundation of the shoe, you'll see that the heel is a lot smaller than the top of the shoe.
All right.
So what that immediately tells you that the shoe is not resting on a stable foundation, it's narrower. The shoes, the last is normally narrower than your foot. And so your foot will be a lot wider than this, so there's a lot of wobbling going on. So if you are walking on uneven surfaces, you have no stability whatsoever.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Very, very flat heels. If you even take this completely off, our feet, if you look at the foot design, it never came with a heel. It has a heel bone, but it's not elevated. It is completely flat. So if you were to walk around barefooted for a certain amount of time, it's fine. But it depends on what environment. So what researchers have shown is that if you look at the design of the foot, it's designed to move on without any shoe on softer surfaces. So if you want grass, if you want sand, natural surfaces, your foot can conform to that. It loves that. It can move and function really, really well.
Okay.
Put it into a environment that we've designed, flat marble, hard concrete, shopping mall, tiles, etc. Those are unnatural surfaces, so walking completely with a shoe that has no cushioning and completely flat tends to stress the heel out and a lot of the muscles that support the foot.
Okay.
Because it's not designed for that.
That's now I understand it clearer, because my daughter actually has a pronated foot, if I'm not mistaken, and she's encouraged to wear her shoes inside because we've got the marble flooring and stuff. But how about for wooden floors? Because it's natural, but it's also hard. And how about that?
So basically, if you look out into the environment, you won't find any surface that extends for a big area that's completely flat.
Okay.
And so even though the wood is natural, its flatness is not. Right, so it's softer, but it is still flat. So the foot goes through, in fact, there's a school of thought and some research that shows that the foot could roll over or pronate even more without any problem
Right.
on a harder surface.
Well, we in this Asian culture, we live in the culture where we don't wear shoes inside the house.
Right.
Do you then advise us, especially young children out there who are prone to this little problem, to wear at least, you know, those bedroom slippers?
Yes.
So that you don't hit the cold straight away?
Right.
Yeah.
So we encourage people to wear some sort of shoe that's cushioned. It doesn't have to have a very high built-in arch or any support. But given the amount of activity that you do in the house, where it's a little bit of standing here, it's sitting down most of the time, perhaps walking upstairs, downstairs, small little chores around the house, that's a minimum amount of time on your feet. So just to wear something that's soft, nicely cushioned, a pair of slippers, a simple one, that will do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and how about sports shoes, choosing sports shoes and sensible shoes that you can, you know, use for an everyday wear? What would you recommend?
If it comes to sports shoes is a whole huge area.
I know, it's
and
crazy.
it is so difficult to choose shoes. And when it comes to sports shoes, the problems we find most of the time, especially running shoes in particular, is the size. Ladies tend to fit their shoes too small.
Oh.
Men tend to fit their shoes too big.
Oh dear.
This is just an observation, a clinical observation. So it's very interesting. And we can probably go into a little bit more detail to find out why. But I think that on the women's side, as to why their shoes are smaller is because most of the shoes that you buy, especially that you would wear here, would be sandals, open shoes. And those have to be just fit.
Yep.
If you bought a sandal with a little bit of extra space for the toe, a little bit of extra space here, it will probably slip off while you're walking. So they just fit and you kind of get used to that. So when you buy your closed shoe, you tend to buy it with the same principles. And that's where you make the mistake.
Snug.
Correct. And that's where you make the mistake because that's where it pushes up against the toes.
Okay.
And some of the very, very common problems we see is that the toes tend to do that. They will curl up like that as the shoe presses them like that because our foot swells. Yeah, right. Our foot swells during the day. It's its largest by 12, 1 o'clock after we've been standing a lot. And if there's no space in the shoe to accommodate that, your foot gets crumpled up.
Is that the problem that Victoria Beckham has? I know, I can't remember, I was reading in one magazine where see, they're laughing, but it's true, right? Where she's always in her Louboutins and she looks absolutely stunning in them, but it's really caused so much pain to her feet and really looks ugly. What is that?
I'm not exactly sure what she's suffering from.
Yeah, it was like
I do know that her husband also has a problem.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he wears special orthotics inside his boots, but her problems I'm not so clued up on. But what I do know is that if you look at a ballerina's foot, for example, because the shoe that they wear has to be just fit, many of them will have these knobbly sort of toes, which they think is normal because it's been like that for all the years they've been doing it. And many ladies' toes, when they take their shoes off, we'll see that presentation. The big toe could be slightly skew, the toe could be slightly bent, and you'll have these little hard skin. And oftentimes people think that's normal, but it's not. And they only realize really in their later 40s when pain starts to creep in because of these problems. Yeah.
That's strange because, you know, being a ballerina, you've got the posture and, you know, and everything, but it's still quite damaging to the feet. Can it be cured, though, doctor? I mean, if one were to have those, what do you call it, the ones where the bones
Depending on what age we get it. So the idea here is to catch everything, any deformity or anything that we see as early as possible.
When should a woman come to you, or when should a patient come to you and realize, oh, I think I may have foot problems?
Well, with the human body, your red light, your signal is pain.
Okay.
And pain is really the signal. So if you feel any discomfort, my ankle hurts whenever I wear a 2.5 inch, or whenever I wear these flats, my heel feels uncomfortable. Pain is not normal. So as soon as you get that, and you notice you're getting it more than once, you're getting it a couple of times, then you need to probably have it checked up.
Start tracking it, but you know how they sometimes have all these inserts for shoes, those party slip-ons, so that, you know, it won't, you know, when you're sweaty and stuff, it basically prevents you from slipping off and stuff. How helpful are these, and are they doing you any good, or is it actually doing more harm to your feet?
They can be helpful.
Okay.
There are ones that have cushion at the bottom.
Cushion soles,
they'll have cushions over here. They'll have separate ones that you can slide over your toe, perhaps, and they'll have different types of paddings. Yes, they are helpful in that they prevent friction, pressure on the foot. So for that short period of time, if you are wearing your high heels and you pad it on certain areas, that's okay. But having to pad a shoe should tell you something about that shoe.
Okay, that's fair enough. I like that smile there you got. And we've got these two pair of shoes here. Perhaps you'd like to tell us a little bit more about this. Is this a safe height if one would like to, you know? Some people just cannot live without their heels. So,
right.
Yeah. Is this a better option? Or
these shoes that I decided to bring along was just to illustrate a safer type of high heel shoe for if you're in a job, for example, where you don't have a choice.
Right.
High heel shoes are what you need to wear. Then you need to go for shoes that are very, very stable. So some of the things I can suggest is that if you hold a shoe here and you hold it over there, there should be something down here that prevents it from twisting. So if you hold it there and you twist it, it should be sturdy.
Wow.
So this part is flexible, super flexible.
Okay.
But you need sturdiness side to side. So you need that stability because we're raising the foot up, we're distributing your weight to the front, you're unstable.
Okay.
So now we need to try and stabilize you. So we stabilize you by making sure this is stiff, this is closed and firm, and preferably a strap across the top.
Wow, that is quite a...
These three.
Shopping for shoes has gone from leaps and bounds now that you've educated me on this. How about wedges, though? Because I find, you know, wearing wedges a little bit more comfortable, or platform shoes, because they elevate you, but at the same time, they're not so... They don't put so much pressure. But what's your views on this?
Right. Many women do find them better because, as we mentioned earlier on, talking about the foundation of the shoe, that if it's wider and supports your foot from the bottom, then it makes you more stable. So most people will respond well to that. But the problem with some wedges is that they have no flexibility in the front. So the platform types where you're making it thicker, they have no flexibility. So you want to remember that you need flexibility there. The wedge can fall within this area.
Okay, where
That's
the arch is, all right?
Right, and before the forefoot starts. So you want that flexible, you want the wedge falling into this area, and then the more straps that you have, the more strappy the shoe, like for example with this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, strap at the back, strap all over, holding the foot in, then we've got stability.
Right.
Right, so that's what you're looking for, to hold the foot in. So a single strap in the front, entire shoe open in the back is a problem.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My husband's going to be very pleased with this interview because there's a lot of no-no shoes out there that I absolutely love, but it has a lot of, you know, it causes a lot of harm. But then again, it's okay. I'm not saying completely going to throw away your whole shoe collection, but yeah, make sure that there's always moderation in what you choose to wear for the day.
Right.
And always have a pair of flats somewhere nearby.
Yes.
Okay. Now, any last words of advice for our viewers at home there with regards to choosing the right footwear and, you know, getting help when you know, the time comes so that, you know, they can prevent from having more back pains and aches and pains towards the end, you know, as they age?
Well, I'd like to advise all women to have a look at their wardrobe and have a look at all their shoes and perhaps take a couple off that they wear on a frequent basis, lay them out.
Right.
Put your foot onto a piece of paper, draw an outline of your foot, cut that out with the scissors.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then you have basically the width of your foot with you standing. And then take that and see if you can slide that into any one of your shoes as you go along.
The cutout.
The cutout.
Okay.
And see whether it can go in without being really crammed in, or whether it can fit. Now, it doesn't have to fit completely, but see whether you can at least get it in. That will give you an indication, what does that shoe do to my foot? Because oftentimes the leathers in the front could be hard and you can't see what's going on. So you put on a shoe, it feels great, but you don't really see what's going on. So this will be a good way for you to see. If the paper comes out crumpled, next shoe, test it.
Actually, now that you've already told me all this, maybe I like you a little bit more because now I can go and find out what shoes I can throw up because it's bad for me and I can go shoe shopping again.
Well, there you go.
There you go. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Mark. Now, as promised, we are giving away 3 pairs of a ZAF collection. The word for this block is Podiatrist. There you go. Podiatrist is the block, the name of the word of the day for this block. Once again, thank you so much to Dr. Mark. That was very informative indeed. Love it, love it, love it. It's not always what we see. It's okay. There's always moderation, basically. And once you feel pain, go and see your podiatrist. Not your orthopedic, but your podiatrist.
Podiatrist.
Awesome. Okay, then, and have a safe flight back to Singapore today.
Thank you.
Tomorrow.
Yes, 2 days' time.
Okay, then. All right, then. Okay, we're going to go for another quick break here on Bella Weekend, but do stay tuned. We have more coming up your way.